All right, I'm going to start on video number one, which is to talk about my perspective and thoughts on human action, decision making, and leadership theory. So I'll first talk about how I define leadership and what that looks like. I define it as an ability to bring a group together to accomplish a task or goal, ultimately to maximize the potential of that team together, no matter who it is, what environment it is. You're bringing together a group of individuals to accomplish a common goal or mission and to maximize the potential of all those individuals. And here are some ways that I think a good leader does that well. They first start with setting the standard and expectations early, starting on day one, and training to those expectations. I think this is something that allows that leader to set the tone and ultimately informs the team on the expectation so that we can then hold them accountable. And that's up or down, starting with ourselves to perform at a high level. And I do think with standards and expectations, you got to start simple. You keep it simple. I think it allows the team to better understand the value in the process and what we're looking to accomplish. Because ultimately, people want to know how and why we do things, and it ensures predictability in our operations day to day. One of the things that I like to talk a lot about within the team that I lead is elite performance requires elite preparation. And I think ultimately, in anything we do, if we want to do it at an elite level, at our high level, we have to prepare better than anyone and set ourselves up for success. The next thing I believe, uh, is critically important as it relates to leadership is effective communications to keep everyone informed up, down, all around on our vision, direction, strategy, critical focus areas are things that ultimately affect them in their day to day. We have to be able to communicate well, whether that's in writing, verbally, text, etc., whatever way you choose to communicate and need to communicate, it has to be done well. And one of the things that I think makes a huge difference here is relates to the tone in which you communicate and making sure that we're optimistic and positive and have that can do perspective. Not that that means we shouldn't be empathetic to the situation or empathetic to the challenges our team may be having, but we ultimately, if you can bring a level of positivity and optimism, I think that can help us overcome day-to-day challenges. The next thing is ultimately you need to be authentic and humble. No BS. You speak the truth. You're honest and transparent with anyone and everyone that you are dealing with in all things. And really, that's going to help you build relationships, getting to know your team, but ultimately, just supporting them in an authentic way and understanding that as a leader and as any individual, you're never going to have all the answers. So don't try to make it seem like you do if you don't. Let's just be honest and transparent and ultimately authentic as an individual. The next areas I think is you gotta be willing to put in the work if you're going to expect your team to do the same, no matter what the situation, a willingness to do whatever it takes to support the team and ultimately the success or failure of our entire team, whether that's pushing a broom or doing a critical task day to day, being able to be willing to do whatever it takes to be successful and never being above that. One of the key things I think is important in terms of building trust is doing what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. Ultimately following through. And that I believe it's one of the simplest ways to build trust and show your team that each person is important. So if it's the lowest ranking individual of your team or the CEO that you may be reporting to, ultimately being responsive and following through and doing the things that you say you're going to do. The next area is I think is key for leadership in terms of taking care of your people. I think generally People are working to live, not living to work. So treat them well, whether that's offering growth and opportunity on the team, higher compensation, increased incentive pay as our performance improves, but ultimately fighting for them, um, and creating an environment where you're caring for them and you're authentic in the way that you're doing that. Whether it may seem like a little thing to you, it's critical to them. The next area is treating everyone and everything with respect. And that's all people, no matter who you engage with, is showing patience and listening to all people, having open dialogue, acting on their feedback, being decisive when they provide feedback and insight into a scenario. And a few things to me that are important as it relates to this is being engaged, accessible, visible to your team, and being present. I like to say be where your feet are, or being in the moment. So I know we like to get distracted with things like cell phones and other devices, but if you're in the moment, you're focused on what your team needs. I think it puts off a level of respect that they deserve. And not only leaving people in places better than you found them, um, just making sure that you're taking care of both your people and the environment that you're working in. Next area is acting on performance quickly and often. That's a couple different ways we can do that, is sharing appreciation for individuals and teams in terms of what they accomplish, but ultimately addressing poor performance quickly to shore them up, or move on, or maybe shift them into a new role on the team. And the last area is being relentless in terms of having a learning mentality, a continuous improvement mentality to get 1% better every day. So being open to the fact that none of us are perfect and we need to always be working on growing and developing as individuals and ultimately as the team. And I guess the question that I would leave you with or pose is regarding training. So as you all have reflected on your experience in your careers and the various roles that you've been in, what methods or approaches have been the most effective for you at your current employer or past employer and over the years? So if you can share some insight on that, that'd be great. Thanks so much for watching the video. Good luck.